Well, it is Thursday, and here we are, Global Missions Project, live interview again. Today is going to be a really, really unique one and very, very different. We've met over the last few weeks. We've met a number of our mission partners from a variety of countries, and we've met a number of our participants as well. And the gentlemen that we're going to be talking to today are participants as well, but they have a very, very special ministry. And their ministry during our trips, besides being musicians who are performing musicians with our groups, is that they do instrument repair work. And there have been so many people blessed by their ministry of doing instrument repair. So we've got to talk to more than one person today, and so I want to make sure that we utilize the time well. And so we're going to be bringing in here today David Treadaway and David Crone. And here they are. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, it's good to see y'all. For all of our folks that are watching us today, I want to mention that we also had advertised that Jim Ransom would be with us as well. And Jim's had some technical issues with his computer and stuff and internet. Being able to do the streaming with us today. So today we've got David and David, and so I'll need to make sure I do David C and David T or something so that we do this. Now, I mentioned that they are instrument repairmen, and that's been a part of their unique ministry, primarily in the countries of Cuba and Guatemala. That's true, right, guys?
Yeah, yes, and I did a lot in Brazil as well.
And in Brazil, too. Thank you for reminding me about that. We have done that in Brazil as well and been a real advocate to those special programs that they have to children out in the more poor areas around the cities there as well. Well, I'm going to kind of have to handle y'all one at a time, back and forth. And we already got some of our people signing in, by the way, to say hello to you guys. And so you'll get a chance to check that out later. David Crone, tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from originally?
Well, originally grew up in Pennsylvania, and then I went to Laterno College in Longview, Texas. And from there, I went to a number of different companies and eventually became a consultant and did an awful lot of traveling. And when I finally settled down, about 10 years before retirement, I got into the instrument repair as a hobby and started working on cellos because there was need.
All right, we'll get to that in just a minute. So, hey, what was your primary field of expertise in your work?
Mechanical engineering and also nuclear engineering.
I got you. David Treadaway, tell me about where you're from originally.
I'm from Lufkin, Texas, which is about 100 miles south of Longview, where David went to school.
Okay. And tell me what your primary vocation has been over the years.
Well, originally I was in the transportation business as a manager, a terminal manager. And then over time, government regulations and a few things, and I shifted over and I went to work for Stephen F. Austin State University in their College of Forestry. I'm an agriculture business graduate there, and so I kind of managed a campus out in the Angelina National Forest until I retired.
And where do you live now?
I live in Amarillo, Texas, at the top.
I got you.
Yeah.
And David Crone, we forgot to say where you're living now.
Lexington, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Okay. Now, if I can ask you guys, I'd love to know from a spiritual perspective. David Crone, when do you remember when you met the Lord and when you accepted Christ as your Savior?
I was very young. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but I do know that it was much before I was in elementary school. And I do remember that at a Youth for Christ conference in Ocean City, New Jersey, I dedicated my life at that point. And then later on, when I met my wife, that we went to Laterno and kind of strengthened our marriage over 50 years.
Awesome. That's awesome. David Treadaway, can you tell me about that experience in your life?
Yeah. I had a childhood there in Lufkin, Texas, and my mother was a registered nurse, so she worked a lot on Sundays, and Daddy was off. And Daddy didn't care much for going to church, but Mother always left word to take the kids to church. So I was one of those types that got dropped off on the curb at the First Baptist Church there in Lufkin every Sunday morning, and I'd go in. And so when I was 10 years old, I accepted Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. And through the teenage years, I had the ups and downs and some issues, but I always knew that He was my Lord. And after my wife and I got married and we started having children, we really matured in our walk with the Lord. And this has been 47 years now that we've been married. And we're just very active in our church and Sunday school teach and in the orchestra, and every opportunity I get, I try to be a witness for the Lord.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations to both of you on your substantial marriages and your ability for your wife's ability to be able to deal with you. And
if you only knew.
Yeah. Anyway, tell me this, David Crone, how were you introduced to Global Missions Project? How did you find out about GMP?
That's about 10 years ago, or maybe 11. I'm not exactly sure. I was at an instrumental expo in North Carolina that my church sent me to just to see what new music there might be for churches. And during the intermission on Saturday morning, they showed a movie. And at the time I thought, now who in their right mind would spend that kind of money to go someplace to play their instrument? I was really kind of doubtful about the whole thing. And thought about it for a while and just kind of put it in the back of my mind. And then you, sir, were invited to our church in Lexington for a concert. And at the picnic that we had to introduce you to all the members of the orchestra, you sat next to me, or I sat next to you. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but we got to talking and you said, I need you in Brazil. At that point, you had no idea that I was a repairman. And when I got to Brazil, I had no idea why I was there, honest. And at one point, the information kind of came out, and that I did repair instruments, and the school in Curitiba had several hundred instruments out that they used at some of their training sites. And after they found out, I had no more free time. I was fixing violas for the rest of the week.
That's great. That's great. And so David Treadaway, how about you? How did you find out about GMP?
Well, I graduated from high school in 1970, and basically I didn't touch my trumpet for 40 years. And I went to a high school band reunion, and a friend challenged me to play in the concert, which I got it out and kind of freshened up on it. And I went and played in that concert. And there was a gentleman that went around, passed out a little thing saying, if you're interested in being in an orchestra, come to Harmony Hill Baptist Church. And I enjoyed doing that experience of playing, again. And I went, and that's where I met Becky Compton. And, I guess she was an angel to me, because she allowed me to sit in that orchestra after 40 years of not playing, and just kind of got in the swing of things there. And then Becky has been on numerous, trips with youth camp, and she's a big supporter, and the whole orchestra was, and they began talking about it. And so I decided I was going to go. My first trip was Cuba. And I'd heard that there was a need for repair, and I had done that in high school and the first part of college. And it's kind of like riding a bicycle, you just kind of have to get back into it. And, your memory, it just falls into place. And so that's kind of how it all started for me. But, I have to say, Becky Compton was the one that opened the door for me for Global Mission Projects.
Well, I'm just so thankful for both of you guys, and for Jim Branson also. And let me also mention too, one of our first instrument repair guys that traveled with us was a gentleman by the name of Stan Berry. And I really wanted to have Stan on here with us also today, but Stan's in the hospital right now. And I want to ask everybody that to please be remembering Stan and Sharon Berry with your prayers as we consider those guys, because they're struggling with some definite issues and things right now. Stan has Parkinson's and is progressing, and so please be praying for them. But anyway, the whole concept of being able to do this instrument repair work in these countries, uniquely, by the way, that Cuba in particular, where they have no access to anything, they can't get parts for anything, and matter of fact, in most cases, they can't get instruments either. And so for us to be able to have guys like you to come down to there and to Guatemala and also to Brazil and to do this, it truly is a ministry, isn't it?
Oh, I found it truly to be a ministry. I was just amazed at, what they use to get keys to open and close, how they use rubber bands and, probably Dave there, is probably as an engineer, he's probably amazed that somebody could, use a paper clip in a unique way. I saw things I'd never seen before, and I kind of hated to destroy it and do something modern because I was so impressed at how they made things work.
Hey, David Crone, I know that I just lost somebody. Oh, there you are.
They were back.
David Crone, I know that primarily you are doing string repair, and so your experiences have been unique there. Do you have any special stories about? Tell us one right now about something that maybe really touched you in a unique way.
Well, I've been to Cuba as repairman 5 times, but in addition to that, we do the instrumental orchestra part first, so that the repair work is done at some later time, usually a week after or 2 weeks after. On the very first rehearsal with all the different students and so on, an old man brought me a violin in a plastic bag, and it was in really, 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 really bad shape. And I told him, I said that I couldn't do it that week. If he would bring it back the following week, I would see what we could do with it.
And let me point out that you actually stayed an extra week just to do instrument repair, correct?
Oh, that's correct. That's what I do every time.
I think that's so wonderful to know that we've got participants like you who are willing to come and do the project and then stay for a whole nother week to do extra work.
Well, not necessarily just to do work, but teach and train. We've trained a number of technicians, and Ray Delgil and Carlos are both now almost professionals doing that work full time, especially.
And both those guys are in Cuba. Yeah. So go ahead, finish your story.
Anyhow, he wouldn't take no for an answer, and I said, okay, write down your phone number and your name, and I'll just take this violin with me, and we'll see what we can do. And somebody will call you when it's time for you to come take a look at it. So I showed the violin to Jim, and Jim said, don't touch it. He said, that thing is in too bad a condition. You won't have time to fix it. Well, between the end of the orchestra tour and the beginning of the training classes, there was a Sunday. And part of the day I didn't have anything to do, and I examined that violin and decided that I probably had enough rubber bands and enough paper clips and enough popsicle sticks and enough glue that I could probably get it back to condition. So when we started the class on Monday morning, that was the training aid that I used for the week to teach the other technicians how to repair violins. Thursday, we finished it, and Samoa then called the owner, and he picked it up. On Saturday evening, just before I was getting ready to leave, Moises came to my room and said, did you fix a violin for an old man? Yeah. Do you know his name? And I said, only what he wrote on the paper with the phone number. He said, he was the concert master of the Havana Symphony. He has shown this violin and had played it for all of his friends and said, those guys at the Baptist church fixed it for us.
That's awesome. And what a connection. And that's what we've seen in Cuba in particular. It's been so unique to see the connections that we've had with professional musicians on the island that was totally unexpected. We just knew we were going down to share with church musicians, but we have seen literally hundreds of professional musicians come to Christ. And it's through things and opportunities just like what David is talking about. David Treadaway, I'm going to skew you to another country. Tell me a little bit about your experiences in Guatemala.
Guatemala is very unique. I think there may be one instrument repairman in the whole country. I stayed very busy. That's probably about as busy as I've ever been. It was so much, everybody had something that needed fixed. And I really struggled. I remember some of them was basically cork issues. My goodness, pads. Some of these pads I saw must have been 50 years old. It was just unbelievable. And on a pad, you've got cardboard, then you got felt, and then you've got a bladder skin, like from a goat or a sheep bladder. Well, that bladder part had gone, and people were using Scotch tape around that to make it seal. And it was amazing. And there was so much to be done. I kind of played the cheap air flights a few weeks later, and I flew back down there, and I spent a week with Vivian Douglas and a young man by the name of Herman, and I worked a whole week on just instruments that she had for the ministry that she supports down there. And she had so many instruments, it was a matter of picking out the ones that had the least problems so that I could get the most done, by the end of the week.
I think those, I love these stories. And now specifically, you mentioned Vivian Douglas. Vivian she's doing band programs in orphanages in Guatemala. And it's amazing because she's touching these kids with the message of the gospel and using music as a tool to do that. And then someone like David Treadaway comes along and says, let me come down here. I'm going to make a special trip down there and spend time with you, just making sure these instruments are working well. David Crone's done the same thing in Cuba, where we have seen, anyone who's been with us knows this, but on every concert that we do down there, we'll have 60 to 80 Cuban musicians join us. And the opportunity to meet them and to share our testimonies with them is amazing. And there's nothing that you can do better than to meet specific needs before any of that takes place. And that's what's been happening with these two guys with their ministries there. As we're kind of coming to a close here, I wish we had time for all the stories that you guys could tell, because I know there's tons of them. I know what that feels like. I've got them too. And but let me ask you this, David Crone, in the time now that you, by the way, how many projects have you been on with GMP now, David Crone?
I counted 11.
11?
11.
11 different projects. David Treadaway, I know you haven't been on that many, but how many have you been with us on?
I had a little problem there. Would you say that again for me?
Yeah, how many GMP projects have you traveled on, including the ones that you did by yourself?
I've gone twice.
You've gone twice,
Cuba
and then
also Guatemala.
Yeah,
global mission.
Well, and then also with your individual trips, which I consider to be through Global Missions, where you made that extra trip down to Guatemala. I mean, I know that the work you've done, and I wish I had time to tell you all the instruments that David Crone and David Treadaway have provided to be able to be taken down to these countries and given to these musicians there. You just can't. I wish all of you could have seen the expressions on their faces when they receive these instruments, that there's no charge for them, and that people are reaching out to them and helping them by giving them these instruments. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Camp. I'm looking at 10 clarinets, 1 cornet, 5 flutes, a piccolo, and a guitar that I got to get, and 4 boxes of music books that I got to get to Nashville.
And by the way, that doesn't include the 6 flutes and 5 clarinets and trumpet that are already sitting in my office that he sent me already. And we're just so thankful for this. Both of you guys' hearts for reaching out. David Crone has taken multiple cellos and instruments down to our musicians in these other countries, and it's just been incredible. And so thankful for both of you guys. David Crone, any last words for us as we close down here?
Well, you have courage and you have faith, but sometimes you don't have courage, but faith gives you that courage. And that's exactly what's happened. I didn't want to make that first step, but I took it on faith, and now I have the courage to continue with it. And
I love that.
That's why I've made so many trips.
Well, and that's a great testimony to any of our GMP people who are watching today. David Treadaway, any last words from you?
I guess my instruments, if I purchase them, I get them off maybe eBay or one of the local news, local internet, marketplaces. But I also get a lot of donations. People just mail them to me. So I would encourage people, if they have any instruments around the house, contact me and let me know. And, maybe it may be junk to you, but, it may be the parts I need to finish something. I probably have 10 projects started, but it's, missing parts or whatever. So, nothing's junk. So, consider me if you've got something you want to find a home for it.
Well, one of our guys just wrote in and he said, both of you guys are blessings. And that's exactly what I was getting ready to say too. Both of you guys are truly blessings. So is Jim Ransom, who couldn't be here with us today, and Stan Berry, who is not doing well. Please, once again, please pray for Stan and Sharon as Stan is progressing through some of these difficult times and everything. So thankful to be here again on Thursday with all of our GMP folks that are watching, and for those that will watch, and when they just tune in and look at the video again on the Global Missions Project Facebook page. Well, see all of you again.
Don't you?
Oh, thank you for reminding me about that. We have a brand new Celebration Orchestra CD. I almost did forget, David. You did good. And I've been mentioning that the last few weeks. A brand new Celebration Orchestra CD. It's on our website. You can go to the globalmissionsproject.com website. You can order it there. And between now and October 15, you still have the opportunity to order one or as many of those as you would like at a 20% discount. 20% discount. And so feel free to take. I'm going to tell you, it's good too. I am so proud of our GMP musicians who recorded this wonderful CD and great music. Many of the things that probably many of you have played as well. Anyway, God bless you today, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.